Welcome to Simply Bitcoin Live. Yesterday, we got pulled off air, coincidentally, right when we were talking about central bank digital currencies. That's a very big coincidence. Anyways, guys, I'm coming at you live from the infamous, the famous Bitcoin Park. This is where the legendary Matt Odell does Citadel Dispatch. I'm going to be the week here in Nashville, really loving their project, what they're doing here. It's absolutely incredible. If you guys haven't gone, definitely go to one of the meetups that they do at Bitcoin Park. This place is amazing. This is the Citadel that we've all heard, we've imagined. It exists. It's called Bitcoin Park. Anyways, welcome to Simply Bitcoin, everybody. We are your number one source for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution. We cover the breaking news, culture, and memetic warfare. We will show you why only Bitcoin can give you true financial sovereignty. Today, we're going to talk about Jesse Powell, the CEO of Kraken, stepping down. We're going to make the case as to why I believe he is getting out of the way of the regulatory freight train heading into crypto, as in, I can't curse in the first 2 minutes, as in the caca coins, right? Anyways, we also have a very special guest. He is the host of Cafe Bitcoin. They have the time slot right before Simply Bitcoin's time slot at noon. The legendary Alex, and he works at one of my favorite companies, the company that we all recommend you guys to stack with, Swan Bitcoin. How you doing, Alex? Welcome to the show.
I'm great. Thanks for having me, man.
Happy to have you. And of course, my legendary co-host. He's always optimistic. He is Optimus Fields.
Well, what's up, Nico? Thanks for the introduction. What's up, Alex? Before we get into it, Alex, I just want to humbly express my gratitude for what you guys do at Cafe Bitcoin. I took a lot of inspiration from you guys for our spaces. And of course, producer Jacob helped me out, and I know you guys are our friends as well. But guys, for today's daily culture, we're going to double down and continue to talk about CBDCs. So I got this awesome thread by Sean Ono Lennon, and I really, really love it. And oh, okay, one second. Oh, my bad. I guess my mic was off. But we're coming in nice now, all right? Hopefully, Nico. Hopefully I'm good. But yes, CBDCs are doubling down, and we got an awesome thread, and I think we are going to do it justice today. So let's get it.
And let's see if during the bit on CBDCs, YouTube decides to pull a fast one on Simply Bitcoin, and that is definitely going to be some signal. But anyways, guys, let's start the show. Number time. Brought to you by NODL. At this point, you should be running your own Bitcoin node. If you don't use your own Bitcoin node, you're trusting someone else's. Run your own version of Bitcoin Core, the Lightning Network, Whirlpool, and Dojo, all from the comfort of your own home. And if you're a digital nomad, you have absolutely no excuse, because now you can run a NODL through a virtual private server. Visit nodl.eu today. That's right, guys. You should be running your own Bitcoin node by now. It's a no-brainer. Anyways, at the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is 19,104 sats per dollar, also known as Moscow time. We're at 235. Block height, 755,510. Reachable Bitcoin nodes, 13,404. We want that number to continue going up. Blocks to the halvening, 84,490. Halving estimate April 22nd, 2024. Total Lightning Network capacity, 4,828. Capacity value, 92 million US dollars. Realized monetary inflation. Bitcoin continues to take the US dollar absolutely to school. 1.78%. Market capitalization, $365 billion with a B. Bitcoin is still a tiny little baby. Anyways, I want to play this video. Guys, some of it is in Spanish. No, all of it is in Spanish. I will translate after the fact. This is Nayib Bukele making a presentation, making an address to the United Nations. And in front of the United Nations, he said that El Salvador is the land of surf, coffee, freedom, and Bitcoin. It's a historic moment. Anyways, let's check out the speech. I'm sorry about the dimensions. Restream does something weird. Anyways, let's check it out.
señoras y señores, y principalmente a los hermanos de todas las naciones del mundo. Les traigo un saludo de la tierra de los volcanes, del surf, del café, del Bitcoin y de la libertad. Casi todo lo anterior es fácilmente verificable. Cualquiera que vaya a El Salvador encontrará las mejores playas para surfear del mundo. Volcanes por todas partes, un café increíble, podrá caminar con paz y tranquilidad por cualquier rincón de nuestro país y especialmente encontrará un pueblo unido luchando por su libertad.
Extremely powerful message at the end to translate what he said. If you come to El Salvador today, you will find security. Remember, El Salvador was one of the most dangerous countries in the world. Today, you will find security in El Salvador. And at the very end, he said something extremely powerful. He said that you will find a united people in the country of El Salvador, united for the quest of freedom. And I found it absolutely amazing that in the beginning line, right after he said freedom, he dropped Bitcoin. Bukele 2024. Opti, what are your thoughts?
Well, I sent you this. I was like, yo, Nico, did you watch this? I love that speech. The whole speech, I highly recommend everyone go watch this speech. That there is translations for it, so if you don't understand Spanish. But I think it's definitely a defining speech, and if you listen to it closely, he's saying some big things in there, and not only saying it to powerful people, but also the message of hope is, in my opinion, one of the most powerful things of this speech. And it really, really, I don't know, it hit different, man. I was watching this in the morning and I was just getting so inspired by what Bukele was saying. And like you said, man, the fact that he's at the UN spreading Bitcoin as freedom, spreading Bitcoin as true financial sovereignty and liberty is just, it's such a powerful message. And I just hope that other nations and other people that listen to this get as inspired as I was about it, because I don't know, man, something about it it hit me different this time. And I was like, man, like Bukele really gets it. Like that's a politician that I would like to see, or a president that I would like to see in the United States, because it was just such an awesome speech.
100%. Alex, what are your thoughts on Bukele's speech? All right, do you go, because I know a lot of Bitcoiners come from the school of thought he's a politician, he can't be trusted, and I agree with that. But at the end of the day, I think fundamentally you cannot deny his results. You can't deny that he's brought security to the people of El Salvador. You can't deny the fact that he's brought freedom to the people of El Salvador. Do you think that he's putting up this act, Alex, to accumulate power? I personally don't believe that, but I'd love to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I don't think it's possible to adopt Bitcoin with the intention of accumulating power, because it literally does the opposite of that. So anybody who really understands what Bitcoin is, and I suspect that Bukele does understand what it is, in fact, would not adopt Bitcoin if his intention was to accumulate power, because it does the opposite of that.
100%.
And this idea, just really quick on this idea of he's a politician, he can't be trusted. I think personally, it might be a little dangerous to just lump everybody into one category and just say, well, because this person's pursuing this particular objective or occupation or thing, that he's automatically a bad person. I think that's dangerous. I think we're always going to have leaders. That's the way human societies work. And there are good leaders and there are bad leaders, and to say all of them are the same, I think is maybe a little bit naive and cynical. I think it's possible to have good politicians, like watch what they do, not what they say. Yeah, you can't just blanket coat people. You can't be like I knew this one guy who was a fireman. He was a complete douchebag. Therefore, all firemen are douchebags.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. So do you believe in the theory of Kaiser? And I believe this, but maybe I'm young and naive and stupid. Is Bitcoin doing to the country of El Salvador as what it did to me personally? I'm sure what it did to you, Alex, and what it did to Opti. The old age adage, or the old age Bitcoin adage, you don't change Bitcoin, Bitcoin changes you. Do you see that happening in El Salvador? I see it. It is clear as day to me, but clearly I'm a little bit biased.
Matt, I don't, over time, I don't know. I've not been to El Salvador yet, so I can't really speak to it from a personal experience level. If you look at it from a like on the ground kind of, you have people in El Salvador who are now transacting in Bitcoin. The big question becomes, are they saving it? Because if they understand the value of saving it, this will change their lives, I believe, 100%. So the question is that what they're doing or not? I'd be curious to find out. Like if you were to run around El Zonte and talk to all the merchants who are taking Bitcoin, ask them how much of the Bitcoin they're actually saving. I'd be curious to know. But for sure, if they do understand it, the more they learn about it, there's no doubt it's going to change them. I'm sure it's already changed them just watching. I mean, once you see for the first time, if you've never seen this, once you see a lightning payment go across and how fast it is and how simple it is, and you come to the realization, wow, no banks participated in this. There's no Visa, MasterCard. There's none of that kind of stuff. That is mind blowing. So yeah, for sure.
We shall wait. We shall see. We shall see how this experiment turns out. We shall see if Saylor and Nayib Bukele look like absolute geniuses. I believe they will. At least we shall see. We shall see. Anyways, let's get to the news, everybody.
The Daily News.
Brought to you by CryptoCloaks.com. They make the best 3D printed Bitcoin merch in the game. From custom node cases to key rings to the famous 3D printed Bitcoin grenade toy. Comes in any custom color your heart desires. You want it in gold, they make it in gold, but only on CryptoCloaks.com. All right, everybody. So this is the big news of today. Jesse Powell, he was the CEO of Kraken. Kraken launched in 2011. He steps down. Now, I think the writing was on the wall. The hostility from the establishment legacy media, the media that propagates the narrative from the administrative state. And of course, I'm talking about the New York Times. The New York Times released infamous articles attacking Bitcoin because they said, hey, it's going to be used to circumvent Russian sanctions. That's where Elizabeth Warren, made her case. And here is an article that came out specifically July 26, 2022. And the headline of the article for our audio listeners says, Kraken, a U.S. crypto exchange, is suspected of violating sanctions. It goes on to say, Kraken, one of the world's largest cryptocurrency exchanges, is under federal investigation. Suspected of violating U.S. sanctions by allowing users in Iran and elsewhere to buy and sell digital tokens, according to 5 people affiliated with the company. The Treasury Department's Office of Foreign Asset Control. Remember, this is the same office in the Treasury that, what did they do? They sanctioned open source software, which we've been making the case that that's going to be used as a precedent to eventually go after Bitcoin. Well, they're the same office that sanctioned or investigated Kraken, tried to strong arm them. And this is the same office as well that included into the must-pass infrastructure bill, which Congress is still trying to amend. They included the amendment where it's not very clear whether a Bitcoin mining or a Lightning node function as money transmitters. If they function as money transmitters, they have to adhere to certain regulation that they won't be able to. But anyways, it wasn't me just saying this. It was Cynthia Lummis herself. Let's check out the clip.
That Treasury got a jump on us in trying to define broker in this bill.
So it was Treasury that was behind this. It was Treasury that was behind sanctioning open source software. The Office of Foreign Asset Control was also the agency that was referenced when Marapool started censoring Bitcoin blocks. Well, they attempted to. What they called the censored Bitcoin blocks was OFAC compliant Bitcoin blocks, right? So this is the guy, these are the people behind this, and they were hostile towards towards Kraken, right? Because it was facilitating internationals buying Bitcoin. So could this have been pressure towards Powell? Anyways, moving on. I'm not talking about Jerome Powell in this case. I'm talking about Jesse Powell. Anyways, it goes on to say Jesse Powell, an early Bitcoin backer and co-founder of the cryptocurrency exchange Kraken, plans to step down from his role as chief executive, the company said on Wednesday. David Ripley, the current chief operating officer, will succeed Mr. Powell. Mr. Powell has been a vocal critic of government regulation of crypto. In 2015, instead of following regulations from the New York Department of Financial Services, Kraken decided to stop operating in New York. Kraken was founded in 2011, about 2 years after Bitcoin's launch. It is currently the fourth largest crypto exchange measured by spot trading volume. The company is in the midst of replacing a number of top executives and has been hiring even as others in the industries have resorted to layoffs. In March, Kraken hired Kerry Dolan as chief financial officer. In April, named Mario Gupta as its chief marketing officer. The company says it's expected to hire a new chief compliance officer in the next years. Now, the new Kraken CEO claimed that the exchange, that Kraken, had no plans into taking out some of the shitcoins, to delisting some of the shitcoins that they have because of pressure from the SEC. But is Powell stepping down a prerequisite? Is he trying to get out of the way of the regulatory freight train that is currently heading into the whole crypto sphere? I don't know. But remember, the U.S. government also tried to make an example of Arthur Hayes, who is the CEO of the infamous shitcoin casino, the original one, BitMEX as well, right? So it's interesting. A lot of high-profile CEOs that have been OGs, they've been in this game for quite a while, are stepping down as the U.S. government continues its regulatory creep into the space. Could this be connected? Could it not be connected? I don't know, man. It's a lot of coincidences. Alex, you guys do an incredible job at Cafe Bitcoin. I'm sure you've been talking about this. What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, that OFAC vector we haven't really been talking a lot about. That's an interesting perspective to look at this from. They can, if they do that, I mean, essentially any exchange that's U.S. listed or U.S. domiciled, they could probably try to exert pressure on in terms of that. That will be super interesting to see. I'm glad, obviously, that miners aren't considered money transmitters and aren't required to have licenses, but that's still a potential.
I'll stop you right there. With the current wording, they haven't amended it yet. With the current wording, it could be interpreted. It could be interpreted as as miners, not only miners, but also Lightning nodes. That's the scary part.
Yeah, I don't know how enforceable that is, though. If you think about it, that's a tough one. However, the other part, I mean, this is kind of like what we've been talking about on Cafe for a while, is the big push by Gensler to basically say Ethereum is a security. You know, that's been the new thing lately. That because now all the validators and stuff are in majorities in the U.S., they're claiming jurisdiction over the transactions because there's a majority in the U.S. So that's a potential attack vector there. But also that because all ETH is staked now, that's essentially a financial product with an expectation of a return, and therefore Ethereum is a security. And if Ethereum is a security, that means all of the ICOs launched on Ethereum are also probably securities, or at least they're captured by that. And then I guess the other part of that when it comes to these exchanges, and Jesse, like, what does that mean? Does that mean they all have to become exchanges with the ability licensed to exchange securities? I think probably. So what does that do to their business model? Mm-hmm. That's not good news for their business model. Because if they're making, well, let's call it 70% of revenue, and I don't know what the numbers are for Kraken, but for Coinbase, I think it's something like 70 to 80% of their revenue is coming from the listing and trading of new can we curse on here, of new altcoins,
You
shall
can
we
curse
say,
as much as you want. This is
shit
simple.
coins. So shit coins, if they're trading, if they're launching and trading new shit coins and they're making 70% to 80% of their revenue from that business activity, and then the SEC comes out and says, okay, well, we officially think Ethereum is a security, therefore you guys are trading securities, therefore you need a license to trade securities, and if you don't do that, here's all the fines. By the way, you have to delist all these different coins. Like, if that happens, any US domiciled exchange is now has to become that, and then they're regulated as that, and that opens up a whole new can of worms and complexities and difficulties if your business is doing that. Now, the other interesting part is you're starting to see all these large legacy financial institutions entering that market now. Samsung announced that they're going to be doing it out of South Korea. They filed to open an exchange. Then you've got BlackRock announced this year. Then you've got, it was Fidelity, Citadel, and Sequoia are teaming up to launch their own. And then NASDAQ just announced. So what happens there, when you have these legacy institutions entering this market for competition with these guys? So I suspect there's like a whole array of factors. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to guess it as motivation, but I mean, looking at what they're coming up against here, probably in the next couple of years, it's going to be pretty brutal, probably.
100%. I agree with you. It's interesting to say the least. Let's see where this goes. Opti, what are your thoughts on this, man? You're the in-house truther, like you always say. You are the I don't know how else to say it, my friend.
Well, honestly, Nico, I say it all the time. Nico Jones on the case, and I think you have a point here. I mean, it does seem like Jesse is getting out of the way of what may be an oncoming train towards Kraken. But I also am remembering that Jay Powell was in the news a little while ago for like the company. There was like some in-house SJWs that didn't like the company culture, and they made a big scene about it. And he basically said, like, look, if you don't like the company culture, you guys can walk. So I wonder if that's also something that, made him want to step down. It's like maybe he, got pushed out internally, and he's kind of just like saving himself from the oncoming train. But furthermore, he kind of did the sailor move as well, where he said, like, I'm stepping down to advocate for Bitcoin and, for Bitcoin advocacy. So, it's going to be interesting to see what he does now, because he is an OG Bitcoiner and he's been around for a long time. So I'm sure he will continue to do some cool stuff, and I'm excited to see what he's going to do, So I think, though, that you do kind of are making a good point, though, Nico, and it's just further data points that we are going into the mainstream spotlight, guys. Like, this is where we at right now. Bitcoin has crossed the Rubicon, and we are in the mainstream consciousness, whether we like it or not, and I think people should prepare for that. So this is part of the Bitcoin adoption and mass adoption that we all want, and hey, people are going to do what they need to do to protect themselves. So shouts out to Jesse Powell. I'm sure he's going to come up with some cool stuff, and I'm interested to see what else he comes up with.
100%. Hopefully, whatever he does next has nothing to do with shitcoins. Right. Anyways, a continuation of yesterday. Let's see if YouTube pulls our stream when we get into this topic. Again, Opti, I'm not going to cover what you're covering. I'm going to take a different angle. We covered this yesterday. U.S. military bought mass surveillance tool that captures 90% of the internet, so we're not going to reread it. But this came out as well. This came out a couple days ago. Came like about a week ago, 5 days ago, which we haven't covered on the show. U.S. Senator Wyden, border agents are searching phones without warrants and storing data for 15 years. So connect the dots, okay? U.S. government buys tools to surveil the entire internet. If a border agent gets your phone, they copy your phone without a warrant, and then they store your data for 15 years. Now, a couple things. First, these are the same people that want you to trust them with central bank digital currencies. Are you crazy? Are you nuts? Look at what they're doing already. No warrant, no nothing. Already spying on you. They don't even have to ask you for permission. Why? Right? And then the other component, right? And the sovereign individual touched upon this. And they said as it becomes easier because information technology said digital money, like they would say, gives you the ability to vote with your wallet, but also your feet. You could take your wealth with you. You're going to see a lot of economic migrants. You're already starting to see this already on a microscopic, I can't say the word, but you guys know what I'm saying, on a smaller scale, when you're seeing economic migrants fleeing from New York, from California, they're going to Texas, they're going to Florida, right? Some are going to Puerto Rico, right? They're looking for better opportunities. I suspect having a U.S. citizenship, and I'm calling this right now because the U.S. is one of the only countries that even if you live abroad and you earn abroad, you still have to pay taxes to the IRS, right? I suspect, just like it was predicted in the sovereign individual, you're going to start to see economic migration. So like how there's a lot of illegal migration coming into the United States, what I suspect is you're going to start to see people perhaps not crossing the border into the U.S., but crossing the border out of the U.S. And Bitcoin facilitates that because it makes it tremendously easy to store your money in your head if you really want to. But take a look at what those border guards are doing. How long into that border guard software says, "Hey, where's your Bitcoin wallet? Hey, I'm gonna get a hold of your cold card. I'm not gonna give it back to you." It was actually NVK who brought this up when we came on the show, right? There's little machines right now at the border stations, at the airports or whatever, that they make an exact photocopy of your phone. How long until they have those machines for hardware wallets? How long until that happens, right? So, two things here, right? Is how could you trust these people with central bank digital currencies? They're already spying on you. They don't admit to it. They're searching your stuff without a warrant. Why would you trust them with even more power? That's number one. Number two, it's going to be interesting crossing the border with hardware wallets in the next couple of years, man. The next 5 to 10 years, I would not be surprised if they had specially designed machines to copy the information on your hardware wallet. And I think if it's sufficiently encrypted enough, if it's like something like a cold card, it doesn't mean that they'll be able to take the Bitcoin off your cold card. But would you feel comfortable leaving your cold card with your private keys stored in it with the U.S. Border and Customs Border Patrol? Would you? I don't know, man. This is crazy how it's playing out. And once again, I know I'm a broken record when it comes to this. The sovereign individual was so freaking spot on. And if you guys haven't read it, you're missing out. Anyways, Alex, what are your thoughts on this? I know it's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff there, like the whole central bank digital currency thing, the movement thing, all of it, the surveillance state. Something I'm curious about in those reports of people's phones being copied, are they copying U.S. nationals' phones or are they copying people who aren't U.S. citizens' phones?
Apparently it's both. Apparently it's everybody. Apparently it's everybody with
So when you are entering
to quote the thing, ZBP confirmed during the briefing that it stores this deeply personal data taken without a warrant signed by a judge from Americans' phones for 15 years and permits approximately 2,700 DHS personnel to search this data at any time for any reason. All of that without a warrant. And these same people want you to trust them with central bank digital currencies.
Yeah, that seems kind of insane to me. So is this happening as a standard practice now at Customs and Border Patrol when you enter the country at all points of entry, or is this like a one-off kind of thing where they're doing it and they're seeing if they can get away with it? Like, what is going on here? Do you know?
I think so. From what I've heard from personal experience, I know that they have machines, specially made machines at airports right now. And I'm pretty sure at border crossings, even though I can't I haven't seen that personally at a border crossing, but specifically if you're coming into the United States and let's say they pull you aside and they want to search your phone, what they'll do is that they'll take
So
your
it's
phone.
international port of entry. If you become a person of interest, even temporarily, they're taking your phones and copying it.
Correct.
Yeah, it's
Without
pretty
a warrant.
unbelievable, man.
Without a
It's pretty,
warrant.
It's pretty unbelievable. Like the degree to which this is progressing and how fast it's progressing. I think, man, people are going to, in terms of the migration thing, I think people need to figure out where they want to be sooner rather than later. Because if they implement some kind of thing where they're logging, look, the 3 pillars of tyranny are going to be control of energy, control of food, control of movement. Have always been that way, will always be that way. So what are we seeing right now? We're seeing energy issues, you're seeing food issues, and the whole vaccine passport thing set up sort of the framing for allowing governments to create these various different systems that will control your movement if you're non-compliant with the way they think or the way they want you to think, right? So this is all very dangerous stuff, man, for sure. And I'm thinking that people need to figure out where they need to be or want to be and take steps and take actions to be prepared to do that if things go kind of sideways. I mean, I lived in Central America for 11 years. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I like it quite a bit. I came back to the United States. One of the reasons why was because, you know, they're not like America. America was founded on this concept of freedom and sovereignty, and like, you know, sovereign people have a right to bear arms. You know, the Swiss are very similar in their thinking. There's this this canton in Switzerland where the men show up to vote carrying swords on their back as a symbol of their freedom and their sovereignty. Like, we're free men. Free men don't need to ask the government's permission to bear arms. Otherwise, you're not free. That's the idea. And so, yeah, I think we're at this point where, like, I came back to the U.S. because that was one of the major things. You can't bear arms down in Panama. You don't have, you know, private citizens can't do that. That's another thing. It's like, it's great if you have an administration right now who's awesome for the people, but what if that changes, right? Like in Bukele's case, like, this is fantastic. I think what he's doing down there is amazing. Like, he's crushing the crime rate. Like, the murder rate, I think, is higher in Philadelphia now than in El Salvador because of what he's done with all of that. But what happens if that changes? You know what I mean? So that's the reason why I've chosen to stay in the U.S.
Dude, it's absolutely, it's very scary where this is going. Completely against the Fourth Amendment. No unreasonable searches and seizures. This is completely unreasonable. This is completely, but it's like they're just throwing it away. And I suspect that they're going to continue ignoring all of these, whether it's freedom of speech, whether it's the right to bear arms, whether it's the Fourth Amendment, as they continue to lose their monopoly on money, and as they continue, and they have been continuing to lose their monopoly on the control of information, right? They were able to capture a lot of the legacy media outlets, whether that was the New York Times, whether that was, you know, the New York Post, right? Whether that was, you know, the whatever, all those legacy institutions that they used to sell the public on weapons of mass destruction in the 2003, you know, Iraq war, right? Imagine if social media was a thing. They would not have been able to sell the public on that. So we're watching the disintermediation of these two powerful levers of control that governments had for so long. So, and I suspect they're just going to throw the Constitution and all its limitations on the role of government out the window as they, in their quest to try to remain in power, in their quest to continue the racket alive. It is very scary. I'm just happy I live in a freedom-oriented state. Opti, what are your thoughts, brother?
Well, first off, love it. Normalize carrying swords to go vote.
Free men don't ask for permission.
Wait. Hold on a second.
Of course, Nico, I'm joking. It's a joke.
Don't do that in your state if you.
I'm sorry. It's a joke. It was a joke. That was a good joke. All right. Anyway, my thoughts on the actual topic is like, wow, man.
CNN. Simply Bitcoin advocates carrying swords.
It's a joke, guys. I'm joking. But like in a serious
Crazy
note, like,
Bitcoiners.
on a serious note, like, wow, this is almost unbelievable, the violations of our rights. But as someone that is paying, this close attention to what is going on, like, nothing surprises me at this point. And, like, I jokingly say it all the time. Like, if you're a Bitcoiner and you're afraid of being added to some government list, like, I have news for you. Like, you're already on one. So, again, sorry, Nico, too much joking today. But what did Canute say when he came on the show the other day? That Bitcoin gives the home of the free and land of the brave like a whole new meaning, because now it's in cyberspace. It's digital. Like, you can vote with your feet and you can opt out with Bitcoin, and this is a feature, not a bug. And so, like, I think we will see soon enough, like, the full sovereign individual thesis play out, and Bitcoiners will start moving and figuring out where the freest place for us to live, and where we are, able to live freely with at the least amount of coercion and force. So, this is just part of the theory playing out. But Nico, you sparked an idea in my head, like, about the TSA. They are already asking us about our computers and our technology that we're carrying. Like, when are they going to start asking us if we're carrying hardware wallets, and to put them in certain little bags and boxes and do what you said. So, like, I think it's coming. Reading the writing on the wall, it's probably soon, TM. So, hey, man, we are living in some crazy times.
Oh, Jesus. And that's why projects like the Seed Signer are so important, man. It's funny. I think they're going to start making more incognito hardware wallets. I think it's just a matter of time. Oh, this is just a calculator. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyways, let's get to the culture.
The Daily Culture.
Brought to you by SwanBitcoin.com. Swan is the best way to build your Bitcoin stack with automated Bitcoin savings plans and instant purchases, serving clients of any size from $10 to $10 million. We love Swan because they incentivize self-custody and dollar cost averaging. What are you waiting for? Visit SwanBitcoin.com today.
Nico, you're slacking.
I am slacking. Holy crap, I am slacking.
You sidetracked on this Saturday.
It's Saturday, dude. The Saturday episodes are the ones that I want to take it easy.
A break.
I want to take it easy, bro. I've been traveling. I went from Puerto Rico to escape the hurricane, went to Miami, stayed in Miami for a day. Our show got rug pulled by YouTube yesterday, and now I'm in Nashville for a week. I'm sorry, Opti, okay? My mind is fried. I'm looking forward to taking a little bit of a break. Guys, I want to tell you about the largest, the biggest, the best Bitcoin conference on the West Coast, November 10th through the 11th in Los Angeles, California. Speaker list includes Michael Saylor, Lynn Alden, Corey Clipson, CJ Wilson, Jeff Booth, Dylan LeClaire. There's so many. Guy Swan, Mark Moss, Parker Lewis, Dr. Jeff Ross, Nico, and Opti are going to be doing a live Simply Bitcoin. Look at you, man. We're going to be doing a live Simply Bitcoin from the Pacific Bitcoin Conference. You're not going to want to miss this awesome celebration. You could take advantage of the promo code SIMPLY to get a huge discount on your Pacific Bitcoin tickets.
On a side note, I am going to have to send my mother that website so she can see me on the website. Anyways, guys, let's get into the culture today. As you guys can see, as you're watching this, I added this legendary meme by my buddy Nico, and I do have it on the soundboard.
You're against Bitcoin, you're against freedom.
And I wanted to start today's culture segment with this context because we fundamentally believe if you're against Bitcoin, you're against freedom. And you guys need to own up to this idea that if you are fighting Bitcoin, then you are fighting freedom. And hey, that's your cross to bear, but you're going to have to explain yourself. So to this extent, I saw this thread by Sean Ono Lennon, and it hit me personally because I grew up loving the Beatles, and I absolutely love, when I was younger, I love the ideas of, you know, what John Lennon was espousing, whether he was right or not. I was a believer in the idea of just give love a chance, you know, peace, imagine peace on planet Earth and how that would look. But at the time they didn't have Bitcoin and didn't have the tools. And we do now. So furthermore, this thread he put out is pure signal, and it's only fitting considering what happened yesterday on yesterday's show that I thought we're just going to continue to double down on this idea. So here's Sean Lennon on Twitter, and he goes, "You may not like Bitcoin, but the central banks of the world have noticed and are concocting their antidote, CBDCs. Inversely, the antidote to CBDCs is BTC. Eventually, there will be only one choice between financial slavery to central authority or self-sovereignty through BTC." He says, "This is just my opinion. It is also my opinion as well, Sean, but it's hard to imagine any other outcome. Once the dollar is fully digital, they will have full control. The only asset they will not be able to control will be BTC. That's why this movement is so important. Forget crypto bros and NFTs and whether mining uses solar panels or not. This is about the potential for the ruling class to take complete control over their subjects, or inversely, the potential for the people of the world to finally be free. Satoshi made real freedom possible." And he says, okay, I'll shut up. And we say this all the time, that Sean knows what it is. It's Bitcoin or slavery, and it is upon you to make that choice today. As we continue to tell you guys on this show, it is digital slavery through CBDCs, where you are tracked, bagged, completely controlled. You can get shut off from the financial system if you don't have the right thought. You know, if you have the wrong thought, the thought police, the Ministry of Truth will shut you down. Wink, wink, like they did yesterday, maybe, supposedly, allegedly. And this is the life and the world that they want you to live in, is a world where you can't speak your mind, where you can't fundamentally participate in the free market, because they're going to tell you what you need to do, who you need to listen to, and what, you know, the experts tell you, or else you're going to get cut off from the system. Like, this is absolutely insane clown world, Orwellian level authoritarian and tyranny here. And this is why we show up every single day. This is why we do what we do, because we have the tools now. And you can opt out with Bitcoin. You know, say what you want about the price volatility and all that stuff, but it's irrelevant, because we have the tools to finally take back our freedom and our sovereignty through money. Because if they can control the money, then they can control every other aspect about you. And we are living in a world where the money is already digital. They already have pretty much full control. They can cancel you. They can make sure they shut down your banks. And now they want even more control. And as Nico pointed out in the news, these people are not to be trusted. You do not want to hand over your freedom. You do not want to opt into the CBDC system, because it means complete slavery. It is Bitcoin or it is slavery, or as Nico so eloquently put,
You're against Bitcoin, you're against freedom.
So, guys, this is why we do what we do. This is why we always tell you, you guys are frontline soldiers in this information war, because the tools are out there and people need to understand that you can opt out of this madness today by saving in Bitcoin. It is not about, you know, the fiat gains. It's about taking back your personal freedom, taking back your money, and taking back your life. And this is why we get so riled up every single day on this show, because the stakes are high right now, guys. Like, we are playing for all the marbles, and Bitcoin is coming for the milkshake. So what are we going to do? We're going to continue to stack sats. We're going to continue to take our Bitcoin in self-custody. We're going to use a node to verify our transactions so that we do not fall back into this crazy madness, this clown world that we're living in, because these psychopaths, these parasites at the top, they want you tracked and bagged so that you cannot speak freely, so that you cannot interact with the truth, with the true nature of reality. They want to distort everything about you and shut you off from reality. And this is why we come so hard every single day, because I fundamentally believe the stakes are extremely high, and it's Bitcoin or it is slavery. Rant over, Nico, jump in.
Dude, when I said that at Bitcoin 2021, I had no idea it would blow up the way it did. Rolling Stones had a picture with us on the top with Svetsky. Financial Times came out with an article. Fucking crazy, dude. I can't believe this shit. And I never forget Eric Voorhees that came right after, and I got under his skin so hard. And what was it? That was the first thing that he said. He said,
Who is that guy? What? I forgot what he said. Like, it's not Bitcoin or freedom. Like, who is that guy?
dude, he's the. Oh no, yeah, he was saying about me. Yeah, dude, it got under so many people's skin. But I mean, like, look, like even someone said in the comments, it's like, well, I remember that moment Nico in person, Eric for he's with the cringe follow up, dude. The flak is heaviest over the target. The reality is, right, that if you are against Bitcoin, if you're against what Bitcoin represents, it's because you want to control people. And Bitcoin is the thing that stands between you and them. That's why the White House released the report that it did. That's why people like Jamie Dimon are calling it a Ponzi scheme. Warren Buffett didn't even try to dress it up. He said it himself. This is rat poison squared. He hates the ability that this will give people. Christine Lagarde has the infamous, if there's an escape valve, people will use it. Well, guess what, Christine Lagarde? Bitcoin is the escape valve, right? So, yeah, if you're against Bitcoin, you're against freedom.
You're against Bitcoin, you're against freedom.
You're a tyrant, right? And Bitcoin exposes tyrants and it shows them for what they are. But Opti, I feel blushed and I feel bad for our guest because you made the culture segment about me, and that sucks.
I
man.
used it as I mean, it wasn't supposed to be about you, Nico. Humble yourself. It was just context for the culture story. Because I know Alex believes the same thing. I've heard him rant on Cafe Bitcoin before, so I'm the one interested in what he's gonna say, Nico. It's not about you.
Okay, all right, good. As long as it's not about me, because Bitcoin isn't about anybody. It's about everybody. Alex.
Yeah, so I definitely believe that Bitcoin is the path to freedom, man. It might be the only path we have right now it's the only peaceful path. Like if Bitcoin doesn't succeed, like that's a pretty dark future, potentially. I agree with, I will say that like, I don't think it's necessarily black and white. If you're against Bitcoin, you're against freedom. It might be like, there are people that's true for, but then there's going to be a whole bunch of people who don't understand Bitcoin yet. Are they against freedom? Not necessarily. I think that we need to give these people grace. Like I'm a big believer in grace. I think we need to show grace. There's a lot of folks who just don't understand it yet. They don't understand what it is. Like me and my girl talk about this all the time. It's like, that guy's a Bitcoiner. He just doesn't know it yet. Right? They just need to figure it out. So yeah, I do think that's part of that pillar of control of energy, control of food, control of movement. Money actually is a control of energy. It's a function of control of energy, right? Because I'm in the camp that I think Michael Saylor looks at it like this. I'm not going to speak for him, but I've heard him say this, that it's basically digital energy. I think that's right. And that comes from a perspective of storage of your labor. What is money? This is very basic first principles kind of stuff, you know? So if you don't have control over the fruits of your labor, like, and that's the opposite of CBDCs, because I just saw like the digital yuan, they just piloted this thing where they can put an expiration date on the money. That's insane. So what does that mean? So if you're a part of the digital yuan, part of the CBDC, if you don't spend it by a certain date, it's no longer useful. It just expires or whatever. So that is forced velocity of money, and it's forcing you also to not be able to save. Well, why would they want that? Well, if you can't save, you can't accumulate capital. If you can't accumulate capital, you basically are 100% dependent on the government, meaning if you don't do what they want, if you don't say what they want, think like they want you to think, then they can just shut you down, shut you off. It's the opposite of freedom. And it's a very, very dangerous potential future. And there's a whole slice of the population that I think we need. Yeah, absolutely. It's slavery. Somebody just in the chat just said it's slavery. 100% agree with that. There's this slice of the population. You know, I used to look at things like the Holocaust and things like that. And I used to always think to myself, how could the people let that happen? Right. And I never understood it. I was like, how could that actually happen? And the answer is, and I've figured this out this year, there is a slice of the population. I call them the govern me harder daddy people. They like rules. They love it. They love the rules. They're like, give me more rules. More. Let's have more rules. Let's have more rules. And in fact, we should be ruled and you should be ruled harder. They love that shit. I don't know where that comes from, honestly, because I don't think that way, but I've come to the realization there actually are a segment of the population that supports that kind of shit. What they don't realize is they're coming for the people you don't like. Well, guess what? They're coming for you next.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw this tweet by this gal, like, Trudeau the other day. He tweeted, I think it was yesterday, he tweeted out, he's talking about, we support the people of Iran in their fight for freedom and all this other kind of stuff against oppression. And this one chick retweeted it, and she's like, dude, you froze my bank account, which got this huge litany of responses, many of which were from these rule people. They're statists, they're basically like, well, you shouldn't have broke the law. It's like, those are the same people who will be cheering on the jackboots as they load people into fucking cattle cars to take them to be removed from the equation, disappeared overnight. They're the same fucking people. Wake up, because you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful. That can be the future. You don't think so? It's happened in the past. Why couldn't it be in the future?
Yeah, dude. And those people, Lenin used to call them useful idiots, right? And I think it really stems from the urge of wanting to fit in so bad and feeling that they're empowered by the collective, that they blind themselves to all the actions that this collective is doing in order to achieve the greater good. And one of the things that scared the crap out of me the last 2 years was exactly what you said, Alex. Some people just want to be governed. They just want to be told what to do.
They feel safer. They feel safer when there's lots of rules.
Yep. Even after the people in charge, their so-called betters, the elites, continue to get it wrong and continue to lie. And then they attack anybody who's going against the mainstream, the current thing, right? That meme is perfect. Anyone who's against the current thing. And collectivism, man, it's catastrophic. It's killed hundreds of millions of people throughout history. But I think we have now a tool to protect the individual, and that's what makes me so bullish about Bitcoin. Now, in terms of your criticism on if you're against Bitcoin, you're against freedom. You know what? I agree with you. I think you're spot on. I think that there's just people that don't know. And just because they don't know, that doesn't necessarily mean that they just don't know. They think they know. And I feel the most bad for people that have been promised these government pensions, people that are on fixed income. And those are the people that are going to be hurt the most if the money printer dies. And they're definitely going to want a scapegoat. And unfortunately, the scapegoat is going to be the Bitcoiners. So, yeah, man. But I think it falls to all of us as educators. You guys do an amazing job at Cafe Bitcoin. And, we try to hunker it down in the Alex Jones version of Bitcoin content at Simply Bitcoin to try to get as many people as humanly possible to take that orange pill. Opti, awesome culture segment. Let's get to the news.
The Daily Meme Review.
Brought to you by BitBox 2 Bitcoin Only Edition, a hardware wallet by Shift Crypto. Crypto-like cryptography. It's secure, it's open source, and it's so easy your mom can set it up. Self-custody is the revolution, and the BitBox makes it simple. Do not leave your Bitcoin on an exchange. Order a BitBox today. Let's go. Okay, guys, so you already know what I'm going to say. As Nika always says, tweets are the bullets, but memes are the artillery in this memetic warfare right now, guys. So you guys are the frontline soldiers. You guys are out here spreading the signal. This is why we do what we do. This is why we try to show you guys the memes, because the memes are not just entertainment. They are calls to action, and you know what's the saying? A picture is worth 1,000 words or whatever. Butchering all the memes. But anyways, guys, let's get into this first meme. Shouts out to my boy Rape Elevator, and he goes, when I see Bitcoin dip, and I know you guys saw this clip of the baseballer, but I really like the Bitcoinization of it. And so when the dip happens, me stacking sats. I watched this clip like 3 times, 4. I watched it so many times, the original one as well. All right, this next one, shouts out to Maxie's Club. I really love what you're doing, bro. I really love the graphics and just the route that you're taking with all these memes, bro. And he goes 159. So I'm guessing this is number 159 of the memes. And he goes, return. My kidnapper is returning me after listening to me talk about Bitcoin for 24 hours straight. And they're throwing the little Pepe guy through his own window with his little Bitcoin. Yes, I'm sure we annoy everyone out there because we continuously talk about Bitcoin. And this next one, I added this one because I knew we were going to talk about the Kraken news. So shouts out to Morpheus BTC, and he goes, Bitcoin running fine without a CEO. And he goes, Kraken CEO hearing about securities laws, and it's the SpongeBob meme. I'm a head out. Oh, I love that meme. This SpongeBob meme is one of my favorite memes. Anyways, this next one. I did a little shorter memes today because of this one's a little longer, but shouts out to documenting BTC. I think this makes like my job way easier by just illustrating this. So Bitcoin is going up to infinity because its supply is finite. Let me see. Hopefully you guys can see this completely. Wait, you guys can see it there. I don't know if the full screen worked better or not, but you can see number goes up because everything divided by 21 million. This is a feature, not a bug. Hard cap is a feature and not a bug. So number goes up. This is why we do what we do. I don't have to play it all, but shouts out to documenting BTC. As you can see, as the blocks come in and the price goes up, it will go to infinity because its supply is finite. 21 million hard cap is the way. And this next one, shouts out to Big Sean Harris. I know you guys felt or at least Bitcoin Twitter is becoming, Fed Twitter now, and we're all watching what Jay Powell is doing. We're all watching what's going on with the interest rates and the bond markets. It's funny how Bitcoiners instantly on a dime become experts in every topic. So shouts out to Big Sean Harris. He goes, hey, bud, I hear Bitcoin is down. How's that little thing going for you? And it's the NPCs with all the markets in reds because it's been a bloody market out there. Getting absolutely wrecked. Anyways, for my meme review score today, I was going to give it this this thing that I got, but I think what I'm going to give it is this giant pimple on my chin.
Oh man. All right, so I'm gonna give it this hand sanitizer gel that I found on one of the desks in the studio at Bitcoin Park. So some Bitcoin Park hand sanitizer gel, the Germex. What about you, Alex? What would you give those memes?
Overall or individually?
Overall, individually, it's really up to you.
Yeah, I think the one throwing the Bitcoiner back through the window, having been captured by his kidnappers and nonstop talking about. I think that's pretty. I'm gonna give that a Bitcoin is Venice.
Ooh. Wow, that is a very deep score. Anyways, guys, you know the deal. This is Simply Bitcoin Live. Please rate the meme, and we will pull it up.
We got one in. I forgot to mention. I thought the people would already know. I guess I got to continue to tell you guys to rate the memes and put it in the chat.
Rate the memes, put it in the chat.
That's a great one. The one turned off nuclear plant in Germany.
I give
Well
those
done,
memes
sir.
one turned off nuclear power plant in Germany. It's by Rave Elevator. That's right. We got to separate the money from state. This type of policy is only possible with a money printer. Oh man, poor Germans. They're gonna freeze. Michael Morris says, I give those memes the effing maximalism. The truth shall set you free. You effing free by Hodl Virus article. Wow, I have to check that out. That sounds inspiring. Next one by Le Frenchy CG. I'm giving the memes my 226 euro. Oof, I'm sorry, buddy. Electric bill per month. Blame the central planners, man. That Greta Thunberg religion. I give those memes a catastrophic implosion of the EU. It doesn't look that good at the EU so far. I give those memes a leaky boat. Shout out Z Logic. Next one, Hammer Saw. Give those memes 2 bald grandpa heads. Hey, what do you have against grandpas? Anyways, guys, don't forget to check out Simply Bitcoin's Telegram group. That's where you can link us Bitcoin memes to review. We're almost up to 600 people in there. It's like the meme quality there is so fire. It's free. Takes 2 seconds. Go to www.t.me/the Simply Bitcoin
Hold on,
channel.
Nico. Before we go on, I gotta give our boy Planet Earth meme review score. I give those memes an oorah Bitcoin. Let's go.
Oorah Bitcoin. Oorah Bitcoin. That's right. Oorah Bitcoin. Anyways, Opti, we got an open source software release today. Let's check it out.
Bitcoin software release.
Brought to you by CipherSafe. Don't be that person that loses their Bitcoin seed due to fire damage, water damage, dog attacks. Back up your generational Bitcoin wealth on steel. And there's no better place to do it than the Cypher Grid by CipherSafe. And now check out their new Bitcoin art, the Bitcoin Rulux triangle, only on cyphersafe.io.
Let's go, guys. All right, so today's software release is Core Lightning version 0.12.1, and it's got a few bug fixes and build improvements. Honestly, I'm kind of new to the Core Lightning, but when Jessifer mentioned it the other day, it definitely piqued my interest. So we gotta go, Nico. You know, I gotta go play with the tools again. I'm getting complacent on my Bitcoin tools. I think I'm gonna do some more deep dive in all the new tools and wallets, new tools and wallets out there. But anyways, guys, if you like what we're doing, we are on Spotify, on Anchor, and the Google, Apple podcasting. But if you really love what we're doing, we are on Fountain, and you can stream us some sats, guys. We really appreciate it. Hope you guys have a good Saturday for the boys and girls.
Let's
roll this out.
I also want to give a shout out to our clothing sponsor. Opti and I wear the hoodies every single day. Visit representltd.com. Comfy, stylish. They make Bitcoin merch. Opti's wearing the orange pill. There's Bitcoin merch coming out. Simply Bitcoin merch coming out soon. You could take advantage of the promo code the promo code down below to get 10% off. representltd.com. All right, guys. That was our show. Before we go, I want to give a very special shout out to the awesome host of Cafe Bitcoin, Alex. Thank you so much for joining us today. Guys, also check out Swan Private. Alex, why don't you tell everybody about Swan Private?
Sure. Swan Private is designed for folks who are maybe buying a larger amount of Bitcoin and want to kind of have somebody on the inside of a Bitcoin company working directly with them, teaching them anything they need to know. It's mostly if somebody's a Bitcoiner and they're super comfortable navigating how to buy, sell, all that other kind of stuff, self-custody, that's awesome. It's more designed for people who are maybe business owners, don't have necessarily the time to spend thousands of hours studying what it is. So we kind of just give them a bunch of experts to work with the whole way. And it's kind of a very high touch, white glove kind of service.
Absolutely. That is what I recommend to anybody who's looking to make large purchases. Big fan of Swan Private, huge fan of Swan. Definitely go check it out. Alex, where could they find out more about you? And why don't you tell them a little bit about Cafe Bitcoin as well?
Sure. My Twitter handle is at Alex Stanczyk, STANCZYK. Cafe Bitcoin's up on Spotify, Fountain, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for Cafe Bitcoin. We also do it as a live show every day on Twitter Spaces, starting at 7 a.m. Pacific. So if you follow me on Twitter, you'll be notified of when we're starting those up.
Awesome. Yep, I can't recommend it. They throw bangers. They had Michael Saylor on the other day. It's a great time. Alex, I'm going to put you backstage for a little bit while I wrap this up. Guys, thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Simply Bitcoin Live. Go check out Simply Bitcoin Unfiltered. It's the written version of the live show. It's the written version of Simply Bitcoin. All you got to go to is www.simplybitcoin.news. Freaking awesome. Zach and Rustin are dropping Pure Signal, and Weinekiss is doing some cultural stuff. Guys, you definitely want to go check it out. Guys, if you enjoyed the show, number one thing that you could do to help us is share the show. Get the truth out there. Get the orange pills out there. Get the signal out there. Make sure to smash that like button. If you feel like we provided you some value, hit that subscribe button. Like I said, I will be in Nashville, specifically in Bitcoin Park, streaming live all week, 12:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We will see you Monday for a brand new episode of Simply Bitcoin.
Which one's the best crypto asset? Well, Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Okay. What's the second best? There is no second best.